Please welcome Lauren Boulos.
Hi everyone, and welcome to our session today on boosting your brand equity with Amazon Ads self-service solutions. I'm Lauren Boulos. I am so happy to be here with you today. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an education training manager with Amazon Ads, and in my role, I lead a global team of educators who present at a range of events, including internal trainings and large in-person conferences, just like Accelerate. And in my previous role, I led a team that was responsible for creating educational content. So they really played a key part in helping advertisers learn and apply the best strategies for their campaigns. And I'm excited to leverage that experience on stage today and share some of those strategies with you all. So let's take a slightly closer look at what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be looking at the strategies that you can take to reach and re-engage customers at all stages of the journey. And that's all underpinned by the goal of building and maintaining your brand equity on the Amazon store. And then we're going to take a look at brand metrics and see how you can use this tool to see the state of your brand and to optimize your campaigns. And then last but certainly not least, I'm very excited to welcome Beth Wall to come up on stage. Beth is a VP with Global Overview, and she will be sharing case studies from her brands, really compelling ones, so really looking forward to that. And just as a quick reminder before we really launch into our content today, we'll be holding a live Q&A session at the end of this session, so please go ahead and use the in-app code scanner throughout our session to submit your questions. So now I want to start things off with a question for you all. There is undoubtedly so much going on with your business and so much that you have to consider every single day. Sure, you can all attest that you don't get much of a break from that, right? So why would you consider adding brand equity to the mix? And as a follow-up to that, what do I mean when I say brand equity? So let's frame it this way. How many of you don't have any competitors? So you're the only one in a totally unique category. I know that's a bit of a trick question because there aren't too many exceptions. We all fit into a category of some sort, and we all have competitors who are taking up market share in that category. So to go back and define brand equity, it is this perceived value of your company based on its reputation. And I get that that can be a bit of a nebulous concept because there are so many things out there that affect shoppers' perceptions. But what it ultimately comes down to is being at the right place and the right time to forge those relationships with customers. And that entails building brand awareness, being there when shoppers are considering what to purchase, and ultimately making it easy for them to find you when they're ready to buy. But like so many things in life, that is sometimes easier said than done. And as smaller businesses, you may think the consumers are really set on the brands that they buy from. But that is not necessarily the case. Salesforce published a study with insights from 13,000 consumers and nearly 4,000 brands worldwide. And in that, they found that 71% of consumers switched brands at least once in the last year. And to get into story time for a couple minutes here, I'm absolutely one of those consumers. So for years, I'd followed a pretty consistent skincare routine using products from a well-known brand. And I obviously like those products. I've been using them for a long time. But in the last few years, I've become more and more interested, I'd say, in organic skincare. And I wanted to see if there was an alternative out there that met my criteria. So I did some general browsing, read customer reviews, compared ingredient lists, so all the fun stuff. And I found a brand that I was interested to try. So I did. And I won't leave you in suspense. I'm totally obsessed with them. I love their products. So I think we can safely say that I'm a brand convert now. And I'm telling you this very short story to highlight that 71% stat, because I'm obviously not a unique case. And as businesses, there's a true opportunity for you to get in front of customers who may be willing to switch brands. So, bringing it a little closer to home, how can you reach those consumers, and how can they keep you top of mind throughout their decision journey? So these are the strategies that we're going to be looking at in detail today. And I want to start by taking a look at some of the more common execution strategies for sponsored ads and how you can select the targeting methods that complement these strategies. So the first one I want to take a look at is you may be interested in highlighting your brand equity and increasing loyalty with your customers. Or you might want to expand within your product's category and reach more of those in-aisle shoppers on Amazon. You might also be interested in generally growing your reach and reaching more customers on Amazon. And then lastly, you might be interested in cross-selling and encouraging that cart building, so you would help to give more visibility to your whole portfolio of products. So once you've defined your objective, one of the next very important decisions that you will make is to decide which targeting method you will use to meet that objective. And targeting is the way that you define the context in which you want your ads to appear. So for the next couple minutes, I'm just going to give a quick refresher on the targeting options that are available to you with sponsored products, sponsored brands, and with sponsored display. So starting with sponsored products, you can run automatic campaigns, keyword and product targeting campaigns. And with that, your ad is automatically matched to the keywords and products that are similar to your advertised item. And you also have the option of running manual campaigns, where you have the option to choose the keywords and products that you want to target. And today we're going to be focusing on those manual options that let you choose your targets and manage your performance at that target level. And now with sponsored brands, you can again use keyword and product targeting. And keywords, as you likely know, match your ads to shopping queries that customers use when they're looking for something online. Whereas with product targeting, you can target specific products, categories, brands, and product features that are relevant to your advertised item. And finally, with sponsored display, what we'll be focusing on specifically today is contextual targeting, which is similar to product targeting. And with this, your ads show to customers who visit products and categories that you choose, as well as similar products. And with contextual targeting, your ads may display on Amazon detail pages, as well as shopping results pages, plus third-party sites, apps, Amazon Fresh, Whole Foods Market, and on Twitch. So based on your goals, the first step that you will take is to decide which ad solutions you want to use. And then you define the targeting strategies that you'll be using with them, grouping the same tactics together in a campaign. So now I want to put this all into practice. And to do that, I'm going to introduce you to Accent Athletics, who you're going to get to know really quite well over the course of the next few minutes. So they are a fictional brand, and they are using sponsored products, sponsored brands, and sponsored display to drive sales and grow their customer base for their line of products, which is athletic shoes and accessories. So what we're going to do now is go through the goals that they set, the ad types that they use, and the targeting strategies that they're using to meet those goals. So we'll start here with the first scenario. And Accent Athletics has a goal to highlight their branded terms in shopping results and to have their products appear on their own product detail pages. And so to make that happen, they use branded terms and product targeting. And specifically what they do is they run sponsored products and sponsored brands campaigns that are focused on keywords like Accent Athletics running shoes, Accent Athletics sneakers, and Accent Athletics tennis shoes. And what this really does is it helps them maintain visibility on the prominent placements that they own. And they also run sponsored products product targeting campaigns, targeting their own products that complement the item that they're advertising or different variations of that product. So as an example here, if they're promoting their sweat-wicking socks. They can target their lightweight running shoes so their socks are visible on that detail page. And with this approach, they can also cross-sell variations of their trail running shoe, let's say. So other shoes can show up on their detail pages. Now, in our second scenario here, what they want to do is expand their product reach and attract new customers. So to facilitate that, they take a multi-tactic approach across the 3 ad solutions. Specifically, they use sponsored products and sponsored brands with keyword targeting to leverage those high traffic category queries, using keywords like running shoes or sneakers, so really those broader terms. And with sponsored brands, the approach that they take is to target non-branded keywords and branded creatives that drive to a cohesive destination, like their fully branded store on Amazon. And they also use manual targeting with both sponsored products and sponsored brands to refine their targeting by category and by product details. And similarly, they use contextual targeting with sponsored display. And with that, they choose broad categories of sports shoes and athletic apparel. So combined, what these strategies should really help do for them is give them good exposure to customers who are browsing with those terms and in their broader category. Now, moving on to our third scenario, Accent Athletics, bit of a mouthful, wants to reach more customers and generally increase awareness about their products. And so they advertise their best sellers with sponsored products and sponsored brands using keyword and product targeting. And with sponsored brands, the approach that they take here is to send traffic to a store subpage that features all of their best sellers and make sure that they target other brands' similar products. They also choose to target other brands' keywords. So take, for example, other brands' names. And from a product targeting perspective, they target substitute products from other brands as part of their strategy here. And they also use sponsored display contextual targeting. And in this scenario, when they're setting up their campaign, they choose the option similar to advertised product to show ads on pages that are similar to their product. So to put that in a little bit more context, if they're selling a sports-specific shoe like a basketball shoe, they could do this to help show up in detail pages for those other basketball shoes. And moving on to our final scenario, Accent Athletics wants to increase awareness of their catalog, encourage cart building, and just generally generate more sales. So to help achieve this, they use sponsored products product targeting to place ads showing complementary products, like a specialty sock, on their main products detail pages. And with this approach, they can also help upsell. So as an example for this, let's say they've got a line of entry-level running shoes, but they have a more specialized running shoe at a higher price point. So they can use product targeting to place that specialized shoe on the detail pages of their entry-level running shoe to help showcase that higher-end product and make it part of shoppers' consideration set. And another tactic that they use with this scenario is to use a sponsored brands creative to showcase those complementary products side by side, and then use branded keywords to target it. And last but not least, they again use contextual targeting with sponsored display. This time, as you can see here, they choose individual products and target a specific list of their own ASINs. So altogether, with this approach, they're able to advertise complementary or similar higher-end products, and they can help cross-sell and upsell their items. So I think, as you can probably glean from these examples, different ad solutions can be used to achieve the very same goal. And it's important to remember, as each ad solution has different targeting tactics. So choosing the right one is really instrumental in helping set up your ads for success. It's really one of those key ingredients. And I also want to take a moment to emphasize that creating different campaigns that are aimed at the same goal can help you create a truly holistic strategy so you're reaching new customers and engaging your current ones all at the same time. So let's say that you've created campaigns for all of your goals. You can, and you definitely should, use your individual reports to see how they're performing. But how can you tell if they're really working collectively to boost your brand equity? So this is where brand metrics, which I referenced a little bit earlier, comes into play for you. So brand metrics is a tool that helps you measure the impact of your upper and your mid-funnel marketing efforts on Amazon, using both advertising and non-advertising insights. And what it really does is offer this holistic view of your brand success in a given subcategory. So that includes count of customers and customer engagements at different stages of the funnel, and the expected long-term value of those states to your brand. So ultimately, what it helps you do is evaluate campaigns that are not focused on just those immediate sales, and understand the value of moving shoppers closer to purchase and into that loyalty stage. So let's bring this a little closer to home with a scenario that's probably familiar to many of you. You're taking a lot of the actions that we've talked about today because you want to grow your brand presence. And you obviously want to make sure that you're seeing the impact of your efforts and your hard work. But you can really only access those lower funnel metrics like return on ad spend and click-through rate. And these are great metrics. They are certainly representative of your short-term sales impact. But what they don't do quite as expediently is give you that holistic sense of how your shoppers are engaging with your brand across the whole journey. Brand Metrics was created to really help solve for this exact issue. And with it, you can measure the long-term value of intent and engagement before and after purchase, evaluate your success relative to other brands at each stage of the journey, and then, just as importantly, you can use this to see what's really moving the needle for you, so you can optimize your campaigns and keep driving growth. So there are a whole lot of metrics available in Brand Metrics, and for the purposes of this talk, I'm going to highlight a few that are really most relevant to what we've covered today. So starting with percent new to brand sales, and this is available for sponsored products and for sponsored display. And to give an example here, if the percentage is low, that would indicate that you're reaching more existing customers than you are new ones. And if you want to increase this ratio, it would really depend on the goals you've set for reaching new customers versus engaging your existing ones. And then the next one here is search brand and view detail page. And this indicates the number of customers who search for your brand by name and went on to view your detail page. So this is a great metric to look at if you are using those brand name keywords that we've been talking about today. And then the last one I want to zoom in on here is awareness and consideration indexes. And what these do is they quantify the size of your audience who are aware of and considering your brand, respectively, compared to your most comparable peers. So these are upper funnel metrics, and they help you see where your brand falls in your category. So as I mentioned, this is just really a small snapshot of what's available to you in Brand Metrics. So if you haven't done so already, I definitely encourage you to go into the ad console, check it out, get familiar with it, and see which insights are most valuable to your brand based on your goals. So now as we're putting everything together, I want to reinforce that this is really all part of a cyclical process to grow and maintain your brand equity with strong advertising campaigns. So let's review the hierarchy here. You start by defining your goals. You match your targeting strategies to those goals. And then you measure your impact with your sponsored ads reports and with Brand Metrics. And then, this is paramount, you use your findings to optimize your campaigns and start that process again. So now, up until this point, we have been using a fictional brand to illustrate our examples. And with that, I'm very excited to welcome the VP of Customer Marketing Sales from Global Overview to come up on stage and share how they implemented the tactics that we've looked at for their clients' real-world campaigns. So welcome, Beth.
Thank you, Lauren. At Global Overview, our passion is building brands. And so I'm so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to talk with you and discuss with you on how can we build your brand equity. Lauren just did a fantastic job of talking about different ways we can leverage tapping into the entire funnel through sponsored products to drive awareness and drive consideration. What we're going to talk about here is, now that you've built and driven in aided intent, how do you best protect your brand? How do you make sure that customer coming in already searching your brand further comes down the path to purchase and converts for your brand? In addition, if you're driving all that traffic to the product detail page, how do we get them to convert there? When focusing on protecting and really building that brand equity, there can sometimes be some conflict. The first is, how do I not unnecessarily spend? I think I can fairly speak for everyone. There is not an unlimited amount of money that we can just pull into and fund every campaign all the time. So therefore, we have to be really thoughtful and mindful of how we're spending every single dollar. Second to that, we want to make sure we're maintaining placements. We do not want to lose market share by our competitor coming in and taking from us that customer that we work so hard to get to our product detail page or to search our brand name. So let's talk about how we can go do that. Before we get into the how, let's talk about what often does happen and may not always work. The first scenario here is the customer comes in and searches brand product A. You can see here on the top line are paid placements. The second line are organic placements. Let's remember, those organic placements have been earned basis the unit velocity that your customers have come in and saying, these are my favorite products. They tend to be, and often are, your top ASINs. So as you can see here, there's no opportunity for incrementality. You're not showing them maybe that new innovation you just bought, that you just brought into the market. You're not maybe showing a complementary ASIN that they have yet to basket build with. A lack of incrementality. The second, less profitability. By this scenario here, there's a high likelihood they are going to click on those paid placements because guess what? They're your top items. Therefore, that results in you running out of budget sooner. When you run out of budget sooner, two things may have to happen. One, you're going to have to go pull funds and shift funds away from those new customer acquisition tactics, from leveraging sponsored products to go after category and competitor and build your market share. Pulling away from that is going to slow your awareness and slow building your brand equity. Or you may just decide not to support and fund the campaigns, which is then going to therefore open the door for your competitors to come in. In addition, and I really want to encourage this, do not forget there's a customer that is shopping. There's a customer in this journey. And this can often create a confusing shopping journey. Is this the same ASIN? Is this the one I've always bought? The last thing you want to do is cause a poor CX or cause friction for the customer in their path to purchase. So as we approach this, we're going to really focus through 3 areas of opportunity. When we've driven this aided intent, how do we drive incrementality? How do we do so profitably? And how do we keep that customer in mind to maintain a smooth path to purchase? In the upcoming case studies, we are going to talk about a variety of different KPIs. We will talk about how it drove sales. We will talk about efficiency through KPIs such as ACOS or ROAS. But we also will showcase in the term of cost per purchase or CPP. And I want to take a second to explain that because it's just another way of shifting and looking at a digital KPI to frame it up for your brand and your ASINs. I'm pretty confident that everyone in the room understands what their average ASP is or average selling price, or what their average order value is. When you start to understand what is it costing me to acquire a customer, it can help further aid you in making business decisions of, am I willing to pay that, or maybe would the dollar be spent elsewhere? So this first case study, it is a diaper brand. This diaper brand is celebrity owned and backed. And so this brand came to us and they said, all right, there's a little ego, they're celebrities, A-list celebrities. They knew they had a brand presence, they had awareness, and it was flooding into the brand. But if anyone in this room knows, diapers has incredibly thin margins. So they came to us and said, we need you to really help protect our brand equity and all this traffic that's coming into our brand, but we really have to do that so with ad efficiency. So our solution was leveraging Sponsored Brands' custom creatives. And we also wanted to test running Sponsored Brands' Store Spotlight ad format. With the Sponsored Brands, we didn't just run a single Sponsored Brands. We A/B tested. We had a hypothesis, but we needed to let the data drive our decision making to find what would work hardest for this brand. So we A/B tested with a Sponsored Brand. Both used custom image. That was our constant. But one featured 3 products, as you would do in a traditional Sponsored Brands ad unit. The second featured no products at all. Let's take a look at performance. The pink bars here is a Sponsored Brands ad unit with products being featured. The purple is with no product. In this particular case study, the Sponsored Brand with no product increased conversion 41%. Remember, as we just talked about, that customer path to purchase. We reduced friction. This was the preferred way this customer came into the brand. Not only did they come into the brand and convert and buy more product, but they did so with a 45% reduction in ACoS and a 48% reduction in cost per purchase. In this case, this brand had to pay 48% less to get them to convert on their product. And then with leveraging Sponsored Brand Store Spotlight, talk about another mouthful. You can see here, before we ran it, is in pink. Post running it is in purple. By leveraging Sponsored Brand Store Spotlight, this grew sales 66% and ad attributed traffic 64%. Ad attributed sales was an incredible output, but what probably most excited me with this is the increase in traffic. It is hard to sell more if there are not more people in the room. And this ad unit not only did its job of converting, but it helped drive traffic. Traffic brings awareness, brings that equity. There were more people interested in having an intent on the brand. Let's shift to the second case study. This was a wellness brand, a really strong brand. They were doing a lot of what Lauren talked about. They were, when customers were coming and searching the brand, they had coverage. They were leveraging sponsored products, sponsored display, sponsored brand on category and competitor keywords. They were leveraging Amazon DSP to go get new to brand. But what they weren't doing is with all that traffic they were bringing in, they were leaving their product detail pages bare. So the opportunity was there to have coverage. Simple, I get it. So we knew we wanted to do that with sponsored products, but we wanted to put thoughtfulness behind it. So we leveraged data that's at your fingertips today. We leveraged market basket data that started to show us signals and indicators of what other items are customers putting in their basket when they purchase a particular ASIN. We weren't just gonna cover to cover. We were gonna cover with the right products that we believe the data was telling us customers wanted to basket build or cross-sell with. So as you can see here, this is the before and this is the after. What I will say with this particular case study is not only did we use data to start to drive the initial strategy, we then continued to leverage data to make us smarter. So in this particular case, we started to learn of ASINs that actually performed better within sponsored products that helped convert better. So we got smarter and we used those learnings to then put into virtual bundles. And then maybe in the brand store, we featured those items closer together. We started to tell the customer reasons why they should basket build in other areas of our real estate on Amazon. Now on to our third and final case study. This is a fashion brand. And I need to note, they are a premium fashion brand. So they came to us and they said, listen, we have some awareness. We do have customers coming to us, but we need to keep building that awareness, and we need to keep telling customers why they should pay what they pay for our product. We had to really keep telling that story of our value proposition. In addition, they didn't realize it, but they were sort of opening the door by not covering their branded terms, and competitors were coming in, which was a threat to steal market share from them. So our solution was to leverage sponsored brand video. We wanted to tap into sight, sound, and motion to really help bring out that value prop for this brand. Similar theme here, we didn't rest on our laurels with just that. We wanted to A/B test. We wanted to determine which would work best. So what we did is we used the same video creative, so that was our constant, and our variable was, do we drive directly to the PDP, one click away, or do we drive to the brand store? In this particular case, you can see here in the pink is driving to the brand store. In the purple is driving to the PDP, product detail page. The creative driving right to the brand store outperformed driving to the PDP. It drove 164% more sales, and it did so more efficiently, a reduction of ACoS of 66% and a 65% reduction in the cost per purchase to acquire that customer. There are so many different ways that we can go and continue to boost our brand equity and really help capitalize on that. And if you guys, as you go back, let's focus on these three things. Drive incrementality when you're doing this. Increase profitability, be mindful. There's not an endless pot of money. How to be really thoughtful. Drive efficiency, but do so incrementality. And then don't forget, there's a customer there. Let's make sure we're always maintaining a really smooth path to purchase. With that, I want to thank you guys so much for your time.